What's up, guys? So today I'm gonna give you a little how-to video on how to open and then reseal these headlights right here. This is the same headlight for the 2015 through 2018 Subaru WRX Limited and the same years for the Subaru STI. So we're gonna open and reseal these headlights. Then I'm not just opening for the hell of it. We're gonna install sea lights and we're gonna install demonize and paint. But it's gonna be separate videos because I don't know about you, but I hate sitting through like a 40-minute video just for like one thing that I'm trying to learn. So it's gonna be broken up into smaller sections that should be a lot easier to follow along with. And I could put a little bit more detail in it. And yeah, so we're gonna get going with these. Let's open these things up. And yeah, we'll just open them up. Now, you only need two tools for this. Screwdriver and a heat gun. So step one, I like to put either a towel or an old tablecloth down. I chose an old tablecloth. You might use a towel. It's up to you. Step one with these headlights is you got to remove a couple screws. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remove those 5 screws, and then we get to heating. Alright, we got the screws out. Now, time to set up our heat gun and start heating. Now, it's with some headlights. People do put them in the oven. You can do it with this one, but with the Subaru sealant, heat gun's all you need. You don't want to hold it in one spot for too long because you could burn the plastic. So just keep it moving, and it takes a lot of heat. So let's go. The goal here is we're trying to make this glue. We're trying to make this sealant as soft as possible. So you want to heat it, try to do it nice and even, keep your heat gun moving. Alright, so been doing the heat gun, got it pretty warm. I will probably have to heat it up some more, but we're at the next step. There's these little clips that kind of hold in the front glass, plastic, whatever. You got to just release these. Sometimes you can do it with your finger. If you can't do it with your fingers, use a flathead screwdriver. And then the hardest part of this whole thing is separating it. So actually I might heat it up a little bit more. I like to try to start at this end, but kind of just do whatever end you could get going. Sometimes you put a little screwdriver in there and just twist lightly. You see it start separating? Lost the end of my screwdriver. And we're good. Alright, so we got it separated. Now, this is the stage where you want to try to clean out the rest of the goop. If you could kind of tell in the video, it's kind of ridiculous how sticky this stuff is. But try to do your best to clean it all off. The majority of it's on the front plastic piece. Yeah, like I said, do your best to clean it off, so when we reseal, there's the least amount of stuff on it. We got different sealant that we're going to throw in when we're ready to seal it back up. Now that you have your headlight open, if you wanted to paint or do any light work, this would obviously be the time to do it. If you want to take off this front panel, 3 screws and a couple clips, you pop this whole front piece off. If you wanted to paint this, you could take this off, paint it. This piece on the Limited and the STI it's not really a light, it's kind of like a reflector from the low beam. So you could paint that. You could do your side marker. If you have any condensation in here, this would be the time you clean it out. You try dry up as much as possible. You can even heat gun it for a while. But like I said before, keep the heat gun moving or else you burn. You don't want to burn. Got to do this a second time now, which you saw it actually wasn't that difficult. And like I said, the separating of it is the most difficult part. So we're down the home stretch here. Alright, so our headlight is all ready to go back together. We got our pieces painted, which that was up to you if you wanted to paint it. Got the sea light installed, we got a demon eye installed. So everything's ready to go back together. I think it's kind of good practice that, well, first you want to try to do it on a day that's not very humid. So a drier day would be perfect, but obviously you don't always have that choice. So if you can wait, try to wait. If not, while you're waiting for the paint to dry, try to keep them in a dry place so you don't have to worry about any type of moisture building up in there, because there's some foam pieces that could get moisture in it and then you have to worry about condensation later on. But what I like to do is take a heat gun just for a couple minutes and just go around the inside of it just to dry up anything that might be there. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to move to the next step of sealing. Alright, so I did that for a couple minutes. And now we're going to need is something to reseal it. Now this is, I believe it's called butyl rubber, and I'm going to put a link down in the description on which one I used. I've used this one in the past and it works great. So what we're going to do is actually we're just going to lay it in this seam in here. Try to get it as neat as possible. Don't be shy with it, because the more the better almost. If you do too much, it might be a little hard to squeeze the whole light back together. But if you do a lot, there's less chance of a gap between the plastic piece and this. So we're going to lay this in here, and then we're going to worry about feeding the wire through, our sea light wire through, and then we're going to move to the next step. This stuff isn't as sticky as the OEM stuff, so it's a little easier to deal with. So let's just throw this through, and then we got to heat it up again and stick it together. So let me finish this up. Should be able to see I got it stuffed in nice. The one I use is a little bit thicker normally, and it's nice because you just pull it and stretch it a little bit, and then it lays in there nice. So don't be shy with it. Once again, throw that in. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna use the heat gun again. Gonna get this nice and hot. Then we're gonna take the wire from our sea light, stuff that through where the side marker used to be with the demon eye wire, stick it back together, put the screws through. Glue's nice and hot. Now we gotta stick this wire through, which this is a step you won't have to do unless you're upgrading your sea lights. Try to start with this back corner. Really just stuff it in. Now remember all these clips? All these clips gotta get popped back in. Which is just a big squeeze. If you gotta heat it up again, heat it up. You wanna keep this glue as soft as possible. Or the rubber, whatever you wanna call it. And after those are in, gonna throw the screws back in. Then we just gotta deal with those wires coming out of that side marker. Something that helps out a little bit is, even if you're not in all the way, you throw some of these screws in and it helps pull it closed. So I'm gonna do that with some of these, in some areas. Alright, this might be the hardest part, not opening it. I'm gonna throw a little more heat on here, and I'll get the rest clipped in. Alright, so we got all our clips in, but now we got this hole where these wires are coming out. So what are we gonna do with that? This, very simple. Just gonna take more of this rubber and just stuff it in that hole. We're gonna move the wires in every single direction and just stuff some in there and do our best to make it watertight / airtight. Separate the wires, stuff some in there. Just wire over to this side, stuff some more. Just keep stuffing. Maybe even throw a little heat on it. Just to make sure you're as pliable as possible. Don't heat it up too much or you're gonna burn your fingers. Like it looks good. Like I got enough. And then I'm gonna put even more just to make sure. Alright, so as you can see, it was pretty easy. It was a pretty easy project. Opening and resealing the headlights is very easy. Like I said before, all you need is screwdriver, heat gun, and then to reseal it you just need the glue. The link will be down in the description of the stuff I used. The stuff I had was plenty. I have leftover, so God forbid you ever get any type of condensation in your lights again, you can redo it. So, which you shouldn't. You're not getting any if you follow my directions. Stay tuned for the follow-up videos. I have the sea light install, which is pretty straightforward also, and then the demon eye install, which is a little more in-depth. But I want to thank you guys for joining me, and stay tuned. If you don't subscribe already, give me that subscription, and like, comment, and I'll see you on the next one.